So we've defined the bullying and explored its broad kind of impact. So now we want to look into the human brain to try and understand a bit more why bullying has such a profound effect and possibly why it even occurs. And understanding the kind of the neuroscience behind these kind of dynamics can provide us with some really vital insights that can inform our strategies for prevention and intervention, which we'll talk about later. At the heart of the brain is our emotional processing center, the amygdala, often referred to as the fear center or the threat detector. And this is shown by the red arrow on screen at the moment, an almond-shaped kind of structure it's often described of, is part of our um, network of threat detection and threat response. So when we perceive a threat, whether it's a physical danger or a social threat like bullying, the amygdala is triggered into action. And a rapid automatic response is triggered, which then prepares our body for what we refer to as the fight, flight, or freeze response. So in a workplace bullying scenario where physical fighting or fleeing might not be an option, individuals often experience that freeze response. They get that feeling of being paralyzed, unable to kind of react or speak up. And this is actually a hardwired survival mechanism. It's not a sign of weakness. And it explains why targets of bullying might appear to be quite passive or unresponsive in the moment. When the amygdala does detect a threat, such as bullying, it sends a signal to the hypothalamus, which then activates our sympathetic nervous system. That triggers the release of adrenaline and cortisol. Now, adrenaline gives us the rapid burst of inner energy, that increase in heart rate, blood pressure. What it's really helping us to do is prime our muscles to take immediate action. And cortisol, often called the stress hormone, helps manage our response to the stress, to the bullying. Now, in acute, short-term, stressful situations, actually, cortisol is beneficial. However, in prolonged, chronic workplace bullying type situations where stress is prolonged, it's inescapable, then people get persistently elevated cortisol levels. And this persistent elevated cortisol level is detrimental to our long-term health. So it includes things like it impacts on our immune system, sleep, anxiety, and even can change some of the structures within our brain. In particular, it can change our the regions of the brain that are control our memory and emotional regulation. And this is why, again, targets of bullying often report that range of both physical and mental health issues. It's due to the release and the prolonged release of cortisol. Beyond the kind of stress response, the bullying response, the power dynamics themselves play a really significant role in how our brains function during bullying. In situations where there's a real or perceived power imbalance, the brain of the person being bullied can become hypervigilant. And in doing so, triggering the stress response, they experience reduced cognitive functioning, making it harder to think clearly, to problem solve, to assert themselves, and it's further entrenching that power imbalance. Conversely, for the bully, well, the perception of power can sometimes lead to a lack of empathetic response. They don't have that empathetic response that people who aren't being bullied would normally have. They've got even perhaps a reduced awareness of the impact of their actions. Now, this isn't always malicious intent, but it can be down to a neurological consequence of how their brain processes dominance and social hierarchy.